Our world is currently in a health and wellness crisis. Confined to our homes with no clear end in sight, people are clearing grocery store shelves of food staples in the hopes of sustaining themselves until further notice. Social media feeds are flooded with photos of people preparing meals and baked goods. As this newfound interest for all things home cooked grows, I find myself wondering, has a quarantined reality and the boredom of isolation pushed people to discover a new passion for the kitchen or reignite an old one? I also find myself wondering about children living in poverty. Are they coping well and being fed adequately during this stressful time? Our current global situation also highlights our dependence on global food systems, and by extension, the importance of supporting local food producers or potentially growing your own food in a rural or urban garden. Most importantly for me, it highlights the importance of teaching our youth how to be resilient in times of crisis and teach them life skills like cooking that will give them the agency to make the right choices and lead them toward a lifetime of health and wellness. For the better part of 2 years, I've been researching and examining what we teach our children about food in the school system. What started out as a mission to bring back home economics education and the teaching of cooking skills grew into an examination of what we are teaching our children about food. Food brings joy. Food connects people. We use food to celebrate. Food is science. Think of the chemistry required when baking or genetically engineering food. Food is geography and the environment. We know certain foods grow in certain climates, and we know that climate change and sustainability are affecting our food supply. Food is history and tradition, recipes passed from generations and many food traditions lost over generations. Food is politics and economics. Think fair trade and global food supply chains. Food is health and well-being. But above all, food is holistic, encompassing mind, body, spirit, and memory. Food is everywhere in our lives and affects every part of our life. Yet food has but a passing mention in the current Canadian curricula. Up until the 1990s, mandatory home economics classes taught the practical and technical skills related to family life like cooking, sewing, budgeting, and homekeeping. When compared to other academic subjects like math, science, and literacy, home economics was often devalued and trivialized due to its stereotyped gender roles and the domestic positioning of women, leading to its eventual demise. The lack of cooking instruction in schools has led to a generational decrease of cooking skills and food knowledge. Researchers are now making startling connections between decreased food knowledge and increased rates of childhood disease and illness. Type 2 diabetes, a disease whose onset was usually after middle age, is now rising in children. In 2017, 7.2% of Canadians aged 12 or older were reportedly diagnosed with diabetes. A 2011 study shows an estimated 1.6 million children aged 5 to 17 were classified as overweight or obese. Another growing concern facing youth is food insecurity. 1 in 6 Canadian children are living in homes that struggle to put food on the table and have limited access to affordable, healthy foods. Considering the rise in childhood illnesses, the staggering number of children living with food insecurity, and the generational decline in food preparation skill and knowledge, I ask the question, is the curriculum providing students with a holistic food education that teaches food preparation skills and includes an understanding of food cycles, food systems, and food behaviors and their impact? I approached the research with the understanding that food is an example of a holistic system. From seed to table to disposal, the food system and all living things within that system are part of a symbiotic process where all parts rely on each other. The current approach to food education teaches through the lens of food literacy, focusing on understanding of basic food and nutrition information with limited development of food-related skills, thus focusing on only a few aspects of a greater holistic system. This qualitative research study focused on the grades 1 to 8 health and physical education curriculum, specifically looking at Strand D, Healthy Living, as well as the Foundations for a Healthy School companion document for administrators, teachers, and students in kindergarten to grade 12. The current health and physical education curriculum in Ontario states that students, kindergarten to grade 8, will learn to examine their own food choices and eating patterns and develop personal guidelines for healthier eating. The concept of making healthy food choices is repeated extensively throughout the curriculum, appearing over 200 times. Canada's Food Guide, a nutrition guide produced by Health Canada, is introduced in grade 1 and is repeatedly referenced as the primary nutritional resource through which children will understand food labels and make appropriate individual food choices based on food categories. The Foundations for a Healthy School document looks to partnerships with community groups and extracurricular cooking classes, or the creation of school cookbooks as a way to enhance student connection to food and well-being. Both the curriculum and the Foundations document reinforce the concept that making the right food choice and understanding nutritional values will lead students to a lifetime of health and well-being. The curriculum, through the assessment of eating habits, patterns, and behaviors, connects good health and well-being to making good food choices, yet offers minimal functional skill development related to food. While making good food choices is essential to health and well-being, researchers have found that using the concept of making good food choices reinforces the dangerous assumption that if overweight people simply learned more about what will make them thinner and healthier, they will change their food behaviors. Teaching kids to make the right food choice creates what researchers call an obesogenic food system that frames health issues as a behavioral problem, resulting in students feeling shame and guilt about their bodies and health, leading to increased anxiety to meet unrealistic body weights. Reading and understanding nutrition information and labels is also essential to health and wellness, but is only part of the bigger picture. Repeated reference to the food guide and reading labels in the curriculum, while important, leads to the assumption that understanding nutritional information is enough to make healthy food choices for a healthy life. Using food guides can be interpreted as punitive, focusing on obesity prevention rather than overall well-being. In addition, limiting the understanding of food to nutritional information limits children's direct contact with food and does not develop a holistic understanding of food origins, nutrition, cultural considerations, planning and preparation, and the interconnection of food to health and well-being. Research has shown that food education, which focuses on the understanding of food guides and decoding nutrition labels, is a simplistic approach that provides basic information about food, yet does not produce much in the way of behavior change. Whereas learning cooking skills through past home economics classes has proven to give students confidence in their food preparation skills, and demonstrated evidence of lifelong learning and understanding of food and food systems. When analyzing the current health and physical education curriculum, I found that the first explicit mention of food preparation and cooking skill development occurred in grade 8, where students were encouraged to facilitate, plan, and organize their own learning and engagement with food exclusively in the home. Delaying any meaningful interaction with food until grade 8 reinforces the social devaluation of food preparation skills. Pushing the learning of cooking skills to the home limits, or in some instances completely eliminates, opportunities to learn how to cook for many children, and does not account for families who do not have the economic means to provide these options to their children. Nor does it address the potential generational food knowledge gap that exists in our society due to decades of no explicit food education. Putting the onus on families to teach youth about food preparation when parents themselves may not have learned the appropriate skills is precisely what is affecting the health and wellness of many children. If we are to empower our students to put good, healthy food on their tables, food education must embody a holistic approach where factual knowledge and functional skills are a priority. A holistic food education can teach students to put food on the table based on the resources they have available to them, while providing them the skill to effectively plan and prepare food based on their health and nutrition needs. The earlier kids learn how to cook, the more profound their connection to food will be, leading them to a lifetime of good food practices that can positively influence future food security, health and well-being, and survival. A new holistic food education definition must include a functional knowledge of health, nutrition, and agriculture, as well as the teaching of life skills like food preparation, gardening, homekeeping, and budgeting. These skills, combined with critical food literacy that leads to action on addressing global issues like environmental sustainability, food insecurity, and childhood health and wellness, can give students a holistic food education that is centered upon learning fundamental skills and knowledge related to food. It will also garner agency and resilience among youth, leading them toward responsible, sustainable, and healthy living. Bringing children in direct contact with food at a young age through a holistic food education will empower the next generation to be conscious of their food decisions and give them the confidence, the skill, and resilience to persevere no matter what their food situation. When a child only knows or understands that a tomato comes from the grocery store and not from a plant in a field or garden, nor do they know the many different ways a tomato can be used to make endless meals, I ask myself, what have we taught that child about food? And more importantly, what will that child teach new generations about food? Food education can no longer be limited to the understanding and decoding of nutritional information, nor can the onus of learning functional skills to navigate the complexity of food systems be left to the student to figure out on their own. Thank you for taking the time to listen to this presentation. Below is a list of references used in the development of this study, which I hope has brought to light the need for more comprehensive, holistic food education for our kids. The photos in this presentation are from my personal collection of dishes. I hope they inspire you to get in the kitchen with the youth around you and start cooking. I also hope that this time of isolation and quarantine brings reflection and change to how we approach food from seed to table to disposal in our daily lives.